Welcome to day 2 of State of the Art here in London, and it gives me immense pleasure to have Dr. Gary Marston with us. So Dr. Marston is a consultant in intensive care at the Royal Liverpool, and for the next few hours at the very least, he's president of the Intensive Care Society. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I look forward to my last 6 hours in post.
6 hours
Thank
in
you.
post. We were just talking earlier about how much State of the Art has changed in the last decade.
Yes.
So we've gone from something that was perhaps small, you could argue London-centric, you could argue very insular, and 10 years later we are now bigger than ever, record-breaking, well-received across the whole of Europe and the world. What do you think's changed all that?
I think there are a number of things, actually. I think there's been a massively increased recognition of the importance of the multi-professional team. When I started critical care, it was very much about doctors and nurses, actually, often about consultants and nurses, in fact. But I think we all recognise that it's really about the team, so everybody has an equal say. Our AHPs are critically important. All the brands of AHPs, our trainees, our SAS doctors, our ACCPs, everybody. And I think that larger inclusion has led to a better and more diverse conference. I also think that the enthusiasm that people take the leadership of actually developing the conference has been critically important. And I've got to make mention of some of my colleagues. Ganesh ran the conference for 3 years, Steve's done this year, and it just got progressively better and better because of their own personal enthusiasm.
And this venue, I mean, Liverpool was amazing, and this venue is absolutely amazing as well. I think there have been fantastic picks, great locations, large enough that you can spread out, have some excellent exhibitors, as you can see behind us right here, but also not be so big that you get kind of lost.
Yeah, there is a magic number, isn't there?
Yeah.
I was speaking to a colleague about half an hour ago who had just been to a conference with 15,000 delegates.
Wow.
And I think there is a threshold beyond which it loses its original appeal, actually. I think there is scope for the state of the art to get bigger, get better.
Okay.
But what the optimum number is, I can't say for sure. But I think at this point, it's about moving forward in terms of numbers and quality.
And next year we'll be in Birmingham, is that right?
It's in Birmingham, indeed, the NET.
Will we be doing this in London, out of London?
That's the plan at this point in time. We're going to alternate at this point in time. There are all sorts of other reasons behind the scenes why it's good to have it in Birmingham versus London. But we think in terms of delivering to our membership that alternating is probably the right approach at this point in time.
Excellent. One of the things I wanted to talk about was that I've seen us bring in more of our subspecialties in. So this year we had 2 sessions dedicated to maternal critical care, whereas last year we had none. And you were co-hosting one of them. Why do you think it's important to bring in our colleagues in maternal critical care, pediatric critical care?
Yeah, I think critical care, one of the reasons I was particularly attracted was that it really does penetrate probably every other area of hospital medicine. It's involved in everything. And I think there are pockets, such as maternal critical care, which truthfully I think have been forgotten about in recent years. I remember as an anaesthetic registrar, I remember looking after profoundly sick maternal patients whom I, nor the obstetricians, perhaps realised just how sick they were. The idea of them getting access to critical care provision didn't exist. They were always kept in a delivery suite, and I've got no doubt these ladies did not get a good service. So I think it's important to embrace these smaller areas and bring them into the main fold. It's about communication. It's about bringing critical care, obstetrics, obstetric anesthesia close together. That's the primary aim. And I think the recent guidance, which has been driven very heavily by Dr. Audrey Quinn, I think that helps in no small measure.
The other thing I want to talk to you about was that you play quite a large role in helping formulate those guidelines. Indeed, you wrote the first chapter. How did you get pulled into this? Are you naturally interested in critical care?
Well, you ask a really good question. It really comes from my involvement in the development of maternal critical care in Cheshire and Mersey. To the end of this month, I am the Critical Care Network medical lead, and the problem we have in Liverpool is that all of our specialities are geographically isolated. So we've got separate neurosurgical hospitals, cardiothoracic hospitals, paediatric, and a women's hospital. So we've got a women's hospital without a critical care service.
Oh, wow.
And it's been about working with the women's hospital to deliver the best care we can with those difficult challenges. So that's how I got involved.
Okay.
I don't consider myself to be a maternal critical care expert by any means, but I got involved with the politics in the organisation quite a while ago, actually. That made me appreciate the importance of making progress in this area.
And something else that you've been quite proud of is GPicks, is that right?
Yes.
And GPicks 2 went out for consultation
It is.
just a few weeks ago,
Sure.
and it's going to be coming out next year. From a AHP trainee and non-consultant physician point of view, what can we expect to look forward to?
Okay. I think for me, GPicks is about driving the service forward. It's never, ever been about punitive measures. So for me, the idea of not meeting certain standards is about giving us ammunition to go to the Commission and say, look, we're not meeting national standards, we need help, we need financial help and otherwise. And it's never been about criticism. It really, really hasn't. I think GPicks is a very important tool to help drive forward the recognition of our AHPs. I think when any service is planned or not planned particularly well, I think the AHPs always come second. There's planning for doctors, there's planning for nurses, but the AHPs, I'm afraid, they are an easy target in the NHS. So GPicks, I think, is an important tool to ensure that our AHP provision is planned in.
And it has dedicated chapters to each.
Dedicated chapters to all the AHP groups. Something I think some colleagues may consider controversial is providing ratios of staff to patients, and that's been a difficult one. But the ratios are designed to not only protect the patients but to protect the staff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because having one trainee, one AHP looking after a ridiculous number of patients, not doing anybody any good.
No. And the other thing I wanted to ask was that you said that the GPicks is not meant to be punitive.
No.
And that it's all about creating standards.
Yes.
So this might be a little bit controversial,
Sure.
but why not turn them from guidelines to mandatory standards?
Okay. Well, there are two words used in GPicks: must and should. Must implies being mandatory, and should implies being aspirational. And a lot of thought is going into differentiating between the musts and shoulds. So the musts are considered mandatory, actually.
Okay.
So you have the standards, then you got recommendations.
Okay. And just to finish up, because I know you're a busy man, what are you looking forward to seeing at State of the Art this year?
I think, well, coming from Liverpool, I'm biased. I thought last year's meeting was absolutely fantastic.
It was great.
The venue, the buzz, was superb. But I think it's better again this year, actually. I think back in central London is fantastic. I think the venue's great. And we've got the biggest number of delegates we've ever had. So I think the feeling's fantastic. So just moving forward, strength to strength. And truthfully, what I enjoy about a conference, of course I enjoy listening to talks, of course I enjoy looking at posters, but the most important thing is catching up with people, networking, talking to your friends, seeing people you haven't seen in a while. Because I think critical care is a really cohesive community, and I think that's demonstrated par excellence here.
It's been a great opportunity to catch up with people, renew old friendships, and just, I mean, sometimes networking is a maligned word, but actually, this is how we grow as a profession, from learning from each other and meeting people and expanding our knowledge base.
Yeah, I do. It's a word that's probably overused just a little bit, but it's a good word. It's what we're about, really.
Absolutely.
It's how we work on the shop floor.
Yes.
And it's how we work in other aspects of our lives, I think, too.
Brilliant. Thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
And join us later for more State of the Art. Thank you.